Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, moni muli wanji, namaste, jambo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We're coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We're so delighted that you're joining us in our mission to help families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to subscribe to the show in the iHeartRadio app, on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, wherever you find your podcasts. Our guest today is Adama Bah. She is here to celebrate Accused, My Story of Injustice. Before we invite Adama into the studio, we want to let you know that Bella Luna's Big Adventure in the Sky by Once Upon a Dance and Stella Mongotti is our latest Reading with Your Kids certified great read. And this book proves that reading doesn't have to be a quiet, couch-centered activity. It's perfect for high-energy kids because they give your little ones a chance to move and groove and burn energy while you read. In Bella Luna's Big Adventure in the Sky, we are introduced to a wonderful family of 4. Now, this family is just like any other, except they have balloons for heads. And that makes it difficult to do some activities, but it also really helps with others. You and your kids are going to have so much fun reading and moving and grooving along with Bella Luna's Big Adventure in the Sky. It's our latest Reading with Your Kids certified great read, and you can read our entire review at readingwithyourkids.com. And if you are the author of the fantastic children's book, please do visit readingwithyourkids.com. Click on the author's Click Here button at the top of the page. Scroll on down to Certified Great Reads to see how this program can help you in your book. Joining us right now from New York City, our guest today is the author of a really powerful middle grade nonfiction book. It's called Accused, My Story of Injustice. Please welcome to the show, Adama Bah. Hey, Adama, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm really well. Both Adama and I lived through the remnants of Hurricane Ida that just left both of our areas in the past few hours. And so that's kind of turned things upside down for a lot of people. Thankfully, we're safe and okay.
Yes, thankfully.
Yeah. So tell us about Accused, please.
Sure. So Accused is a book that I wrote that goes into detail about my arrest. Even though I tell my story often of what happened to me, I haven't gone into as much details as I did in this book.
So you were arrested at age 9, was it?
16.
16. Okay. Can you tell us that story?
Sure. I'm originally from Guinea, Conakry, and my mother and I came to the United States when I was 2 years old. I didn't know I was undocumented until I was 16 years old. I was put in handcuffs, and I was sent downtown to Federal Plaza. I was arrested by NYPD, FBI, and immigration. I was accused of being a potential suicide bomber, and I was also told I was undocumented, but I was never charged with anything related to suicide. I was only charged with immigration, which is overstaying my visa.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, what was it that called attention that made New York City? There's millions of people. What made you pop up on the radar of all these different agencies?
That's a very good question. And in the beginning, I've asked myself that question for years. And I realized I was never going to get an answer. Maybe someday I'll get the answer actually as to why. I have speculation. After 9/11, a lot of mosques and Muslims were spied on. And I believe that they were probably investigating my mosque or just, we don't know. But this is what I speculate. And then somehow I came to their radars. They found out I was undocumented. I don't know. They never told me why. I'm now 33 years old, and I've never gotten a reason as to why me.
that's no matter where you stand on the issue of immigration, we have to treat people with respect, with dignity, and somebody who is arrested, especially by 3 different agents. You know, you're 16 years old. I can't imagine why you need to have police officers and immigration and the FBI arresting a 16-year-old. You have the right to know what you're being accused of, and I think why.
I agree with you. But part of my healing, because I thought in order to heal, I needed to know why.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized I don't need to know why. I just need to heal somehow.
And it's been many, many years now. Have you been able to heal?
It's been 16 years now. And I think in some ways I have. And in some ways I've learned to cope. And in some ways I've learned to just, it depends on what we're saying when we say heal. One of the things that I do now is I help people who, especially undocumented immigrants, who have been in my situation. So that also has helped me heal because I'm making sure someone else doesn't go through what I've been through.
I think it's important for us, and again, no matter what side of the immigration issue you find yourself on, I think it's really, really vitally important for us to understand that we're talking about people, human beings. What was it? And I know you were 2, but I'm sure you've had conversations. What was it that led your family to leave your country and to come to the United States?
So my parents, I didn't know until later on, but for many reasons, one of the reasons being they circumcised women in Guinea. My father had 2 daughters, and he knew we wouldn't have a life there. He knew that we wouldn't get an education. And my father's a firm believer in women getting educations, women's rights. And he knew that his daughters would be nothing if we stayed in Guinea. So he arrived to the United States and tried to give us a better life. I think that's why a lot of immigrants come here, because they want that better life that America honestly just advertise. It's not like they don't advertise it. They're advertising to the whole world. We're the greatest country in the world. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you're bound to have people come into the greatest country in the world if that's what you keep portraying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Your father must have been an incredible human being to have that insight, to grow up in a culture where, your people are taught, no, women shouldn't be educated. They should experience this circumcision. But your dad stood out. He rejected that teaching. Why do you think he was able to do that?
I don't know. It's just that my dad is amazing. He's one of my biggest support. In the book, I also mentioned that he was deported for 7 years. And I think that was the hardest part for me. It wasn't the fact that I got arrested. It was the fact that I lost my best friend. So for 7 years, we were apart. And till this day, I'm so grateful. I'm a mother too now. And I do have a daughter, and I will travel the seas if I wanted to give her the best life ever. So, I'm glad my dad did that. I'm glad my dad thought of that.
Yeah. And we need to remember that there are people all over the world who are risking their lives to come here. I don't know how your family came here. I know that there are there are hundreds of people coming from Africa to flying into Ecuador and then walking from Ecuador to the United States, which is an incredible journey. But what's most incredible about it is that they have to walk through this area, 100-mile stretch of land called the Darien Gap that separates Panama and Colombia. And it is one of the most dangerous places in the world. It's the reason why you can't drive from North and Central America into South America. This is just an unpassable area. Like I said, it's about 100 miles from north to south. There are all sorts of dangerous creatures there, the narco-traficantes. There are terrorist organizations, revolutionary organizations. And thousands of people die crossing that and trying to make it to the United States. They're in search of a better way of life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's been your experience now that you're sharing your story with the world? What's the reaction been to it?
So I get two reactions. One of them is like, wow, I believe you, and I'm so sorry that this happened to you. And then I get the other reaction of, there must have been something. You must have said something. You must have done something. And I have to remind the audience and myself, I was only 16. Even if I would have said something or I was about to do something, there are protocols that are set, even in schools, in mental health. There's steps that you take. Why do you want to do this? No one asked me why. Nobody. It was immediate arrest.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it has a lot to do with, I am a Black woman, and I am a Black Muslim woman post 9/11. So I think that's why no one asks. But I like I said, those are the two reactions I really get the most is, you must have said something. You must have done something. And it's like, no, not that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Mm-hmm. But we're in even the folks who say you must have done something, there are, as you said, there are protocols. There's a right way to do things and not so right way to do things.
Mm-hmm.
Has it, now you talked about the fact that, your family came here because the United States kind of advertises, hey, we offer a better way of life. In your experience here, do we live up to that hype that we portray around the world?
I think some of us do live that hype that's out there. Some of us have gotten to that luxury. Even myself, despite what I've gone through, I do have luxury. But there's a lot of reform that needs to happen in this country. Not just immigration. We're talking about mental health. We're talking about child welfare. Education reform. The list goes on. I think we've been doing things the old way for a long time, and it's not working for us. The homelessness in this country is horrible. And it's only getting worse. Like I said, I live in New York City, and I'm just seeing a rise in homelessness, but I can only advocate for one thing at a time, and I've just chosen to advocate what I've experienced.
And what changes do you want to see made in regard to your experience?
So I definitely want to be in a role where I can change policy. I want to sit at the table because a lot of these people are making immigration laws, homeland security. They're just making laws that don't really make sense, that don't apply to them. It doesn't make sense for someone who's never been undocumented to make laws about what it is to be undocumented. A great example I use is DACA. I think DACA is great, but realistically, it doesn't make sense. It's a waste of tax dollars and just energy. But again, I'm grateful DACA is there, and I'm grateful people have access to that. But why can't you just give them status? Why, for those who don't know what DACA is when you, for young people who have arrived in this country, I believe it's underage or a certain age by their parents, they are able to get status. They're able to go to school. They're able to work, but some of them are not able to travel outside the country. They're not even able to. There's a lot of restrictions. So DACA doesn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. This immigration issue is so complex, and the thing that frustrates me is that it's been an issue for a long time, and it's been an issue that has been used as a political football by both sides of the argument, both political parties, and no one has done anything about it. No one has had the courage to step up and say, "Look, listen, let's address this issue. Let's find a way for people to immigrate to this country in a humane way, in a safe way." People shouldn't be paying human traffickers to be put into the back of an 18-wheeler to be brought across the border. People shouldn't need to go through a dangerous jungle and walk thousands of miles to enter this country. What would you say to the people who are looking at the news and seeing what's going on right now at the southern border, where we have this incredible influx of people just coming across the border right now? I'm hearing the words, there's no control, there's no vetting. What would you do as somebody who lives here in this country, has spent most of your life here in this country? What kind of changes would you advocate for?
You know, immigration is huge because of it. It also deals with foreign policy. I think a great example is what happened recently in Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. We're about to receive a lot of immigrants from Afghanistan. That's not because they want to be here. It's because we caused this war in this country and tore down a whole system. So we're going to have an influx of Afghanis in this country, and we can't blame anybody else but ourselves. When we talk about people on the border, these people have gone through a lot. They're not coming here just because they are bored or they have nothing else to do. Their homeland was teared down. Some of them they have, as I think we spoke about, these revolutionary organizations, these terrorist organizations that are targeting. So they're coming here because we have advertised that we're the safest country in the world and we're the best. People always ask me, well, what do you want to do? I think we need to have a revolving door with immigration. We have the technology and we have the resource to do background checks, to do research and make sure these people are not from terrorist organizations, to make sure these people are really here to make the country better. So I do believe in revolving door immigration.
So a revolving door immigration would be so somebody can come and go back and forth from their homeland to here, work a little bit, go back home?
Yes, with exceptions. They definitely have to pay taxes. They have to contribute to this country. But I do believe in revolving immigration. So I think that's the best thing for us right now as a country.
Yeah, and I think that actually existed for a long time. When I was much younger, I know we did. There was a large number of people who would come and work in various capacities and on a working visa, and then would go back, especially from Mexico. And I don't understand why that stopped. I just don't know enough.
Because immigration has become a business.
Yeah.
Even with DACA, there are so much fees that they have to pay just to be able to stay here. And it's not like they have a choice. You know, someone like in my situation, if I would have gotten deported back to Guinea, I would have been circumcised. I would have been forcibly married to God knows who. I would have never had an education. I would have never been able to do half the things that I've done so far with my life.
And I'm imagining you may even have had a hard time speaking, because I know a lot of kids who came here at 1-2 years old, they don't know the language of their home country.
So I do know the language, but I'm like basic level. Mm-hmm. So people even laugh when I speak because they're like, "What are you saying?"
Yeah, people laugh when I speak English. Wow. So the message that we find in Accuse, My Story of Injustice, how have people been receiving it? When you share this book with young people especially, what's their reaction to it?
So it's just recently I started talking about it. And I should mention, for years I was ashamed to tell my story, because I think part of it was because I didn't know how to tell it. If you go around saying, "Hey, I was accused of being a suicide bomber," people will give you that look like, "What?" Mm-hmm. But now that I know how to tell the story, and again, this happened to me when I was 16, and I wanted my audience to be the young ones, because they're the ones who are going through the emotional, social changes that they don't have. They can change it, but they're told that they're too young. And I want to make sure to tell them that you have a voice. There is a way that you can change the world, and you need to be involved.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, especially our 16, 17-year-olds, they may not have the right to vote, but they have the right and the ability to get involved in with supporting different causes. I think the things that our kids who are 16, 17, high school kids, even middle school kids, the best thing that they can do is to prepare themselves and get educated and put Facebook and Instagram and TikTok down for a little bit and read and start understanding the issues and be careful where you're getting your information from. Make sure that you're getting your information from a reliable, trustworthy source, not just your best friend on Facebook, just repeating something that they heard. Do you think that we have hope for a better future for people like yourself and other immigrants?
I'm 50-50 on that. I think that I think the good thing is that there has been, I think the last administration, which is the Trump administration, has put this narrative, this negative narrative about immigrants. And we are now taking that narrative. And when I say we as immigrants have been trying to correct that narrative, that no, we are not like that. No, this is what we're doing. So I think that we have started it, but we have a long way to go. And the reason why I say that, because I haven't seen an undocumented person yet in power or someone who's formally undocumented, in leadership saying, no, we need to change this. This is not right. Let's do this. Let's do that. It doesn't have to be me. Anyone out there who is a DACA recipient, who wants to run for mayor, who can run for, well, we can't run for presidents, but we can run for Congress. We can run for spaces where we can be heard and make the most change.
Yeah. And that's, I think, important for us to understand that a person who's immigrated here, who's gone and moved on from undocumented to a status where they have documentation and have rights, they're part of our American family, and we all need to work together to make this a better country for all of us. Because we're very proud to say, this nation was built by immigrants. It was built by people coming from all over the world, sharing their talents, their love, their passion, and that can still happen. We absolutely can still happen.
Yes, it can.
Yeah. Adama, where can people go to find out more about you and find out more about Accused, My Story of Injustice?
So you can go to Norton website. You can find me on Facebook. I'm always on Facebook posting the work that I do on Instagram, and it's my name. I have made my page public because I wanted to make sure that any undocumented individual out there that needs help, I'm here for you. I'm here to help you navigate the system that tells you don't have rights, but you do have rights. Mm-hmm. And you have to use those rights. I mean, I'm in this country because the same laws that they use to put me in shackles is the same laws that I've used to become a citizen.
Yeah. And if there is somebody out there that's listening that loves somebody who is undocumented or maybe undocumented themselves, what would be the first thing you would advise them to do?
The first thing I would ask them, are they safe? The second question I always ask them is, have you spoken to an attorney? If they haven't, that's the first thing I do is I connect them with an attorney. I think there are many attorneys out there that does amazing work, and I have them on speed dial. So I always tell people, reach out to me. I know an immigration attorney, and they answer my call, which is great. Those are the first two questions. Are you safe? And have you spoken to an attorney?
Wonderful. We've had a really eye-opening experience speaking to the author of Accused, My Story of Injustice, Adama Bah. Hey, Adama, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Please be sure to join us for the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be author and educator, Mark Gunning. Mark will be returning to the show to celebrate book number 4 in his wonderful I Told You So series. If you are the author of a fantastic children's book, we would love to have you as a guest on the podcast. Being a guest, it's fun, it's easy. It gives you the chance to tell thousands of people about your fantastic book, and it doesn't cost a thing. No need to pay anybody to facilitate a visit. All you need to do is to go to our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Click on the Authors Click Here button, scroll on down to be a guest. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, we want to start by thanking our guest, Adama Bah. Please be sure to check out Accused, My Story of Injustice. I also want to thank my team, Alejandra Doherty, Fatima Khan. We have two great interns working for us, Rory Grady from Emerson College in Boston and Michael Murphy from Curry College in Milton, Massachusetts. Thanks so much for being on the team. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. I want to thank Augie the doggy who has my back here in the studio. Most of all, we all want to join in to thank you. Thank you so very much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.